So she's our farm manager. So I want to welcome each and every one of you to Grace Farm. And here in Grace Farm, basically we have a poultry farm, and I'll let you know what we do. And also we also have a fish pond where we rear fishes. So based on what I was told, you guys have been, they put you through the theoretical aspect of the poultry farm, the housing system of the birds and all of that. So we'll see the practical aspects to that, and the housing of the birds, and the management of the birds and all of that. So first of all, I would like to begin by saying that they have 3 systems of poultry farming. We have the extensive farming, we have the semi-intensive farming, and we have the intensive farming. But then in the intensive farming, the birds are housed in cages, and they are provided with food, with water, with medications and all of that. So what we do here is intensive farming. And I would also like to inform you that there are 2 types of this intensive farming. There is the deep litter, where birds are allowed to, like in a cage, like say an open cage, you see the birds roaming around within the cage. And then there is the deep litter, where there is the battery cages, where the birds are housed in cages, and then from the cage, they are fed in the cage and all of that. And that is what we have here. You can see the birds inside cages, the birds for meat production, and we have the birds for egg production. So usually the birds for meat productions are broilers. So, but we don't have broilers here. Basically what we do here is layer birds. So those layer birds, they produce eggs. And then for the layer birds, they have different life stages. And then while the layers are the birds that are already laying. Then for the fishes, they also have different housing systems for fishes. They have the fishes in earthen ponds, and they have fishes in concrete ponds. So those earthen ponds are usually a dug up hole, and those holes that are dug up, they pour water into the hole, and then the fishes are allowed to live within that hole. While for the concrete ponds, usually just as the name implies, there is a concrete pond where water is poured in, and the fishes are allowed to live within that pond, and that is what we have here on the farm. So you go around, you will get to see the birds and the fishes, and then you can ask questions like that. We have the point of play and the layers, and these birds you see here at the point of play. So they are about 18 weeks old at the moment. So this point of play, they are not yet playing, but they are about to start playing. So the feed that the point of play is different from the feed we give to the layers. So usually the point of play are given what we call pre-lay. So probably I should begin by saying that the feed for the birds are in different based on their life stages. What they will do from week 20 to over around week 73 thereabouts, because the birds can lay for up to 2 years before they stop laying. So these are the layers, and you can see them, they are even within the cage. This is the, as I mentioned, this is the battery cage. So you can see they have different units in the battery cage, and each unit contains about 2 to 3 beds per unit. And also you can see the water system that provides water to the beds. And this water has nipples. So usually when the bed hits on the nipples, the water comes out. So that's the way they get water. And then this is the feeding cow, where feed is placed in bed to eat from the cow.
Charles, you're making it. Yes.
Okay, that's okay.
There are the feces. When they pass out feces, it goes to the floor, and then of course you can dispatch out on daily basis to ensure the bed lays so small. So, like I mentioned earlier, they are older than the point of play, and you can see the feed they eat has higher level of protein and calcium compared in this. Yeah. So we have almost about 2,000 laying beds at the moment. That fish, they can survive both in water, and they can survive for some hours outside water. You know, for other fishes like turtles, you know, the freshwater fishes, they don't do well outside of water. But for catfish, even if you take them out of the water and you place them on the floor for some hours, they will still be able to survive. So that is the reason why catfish and fishes like tilapia are the fish of choice when you want to rear outside of their natural environment. Underneath the backs of fish to ensure that there is no access to moistness or water on the fish. So you can ask the question again. Okay. Okay, so the reason why we have some of the beds outside is because these cages are built for laying beds. So because of that, some of the point of play, because if you notice, you see that it is mainly beds from the point of play that you see, you know, outside. So because of their sizes, they can easily maneuver their way out of the cages. That is the reason we have some of them outside. But as often as possible, we try to get them back into the pen so that, you know, they don't come down with disease. Okay.
Why is the water? So that's a lot of question. Why is the water in the poultry farm cold?
It's because of the weather. Because of the weather. So, you know, the weather is generally cold, and that's of course. And then also, just like you mentioned, it's important they take cold water, not extremely cold water, but you know, cold water to also ensure the beds that, you know, their temperature is regulated.
Does it affect
The water in the
water
fish.
in the fish?
Okay, the reason why it appears dirty is because the feed
Do they put inside the pond? What was it?
they poo. No, that's what I'm saying. Not necessarily just the poo, but the feed too. So because to feed the fishes, you have to pour the feed into the water. So the feed that are not consumed, they disintegrate, and then that is what you see as death.
But the water is often changed every 2 days.
Okay.
Now, is there a different feed for layers and broilers?
Yes, there is a different feed. So the layer mash that we give to the calcium do. Who knows what calcium do? Goats, stronger bones and tissue. So the shell that protects the egg is made of calcium. So because of that, there is high level of calcium in the layers feed to help with egg production. But for broilers, because we want them to grow big, to produce plenty of flesh, they have more of protein in their feed as compared to that. If you go in there, you'll notice that the birds with those feathers going off are mainly the old birds. But then, other than molting, sometimes the birds peck on themselves. They peck on each other. So in the process of that pecking, they could peck out the feathers of the birds. So that's the reason why you see some of them without feathers.
How do you know? For example, the new egg. How do you know which ones are for normal egg and which ones are going to the new chickens?
Okay, so the birds we have here on the farm, they are basically for egg for consumption. So even if we gather these eggs and put them in the incubator, because they are not fertilized, of course, the male has to fertilize the female. That's the whole mating process to fertilize the egg before the eggs will be incubated. But in this case, the eggs being produced are not the females. They are not crossed with females. So there is no fertilization, and so the eggs cannot produce chicks. I don't know if I answered your question. Who can tell me? So,
alright, so I want to add to, you can get to some farms and you see some birds that are separated from the others. There might be some reasons why they are separated. For some farms, it's what we call culling. C-U-L-L-I-N-G. We call it culling from the others due to what health issues. Probably that bird is not feeling so well, or you are suspecting that bird is having a particular disease. And what do? You call it immediately away from the other birds so that that particular disease would not be transmitted to others. Then for the calcium, you already spoke about it. The calcium helps in what? In the egg formation. It helps the shell. It helps to have strong shell. That is why some birds, when you get some eggs, actually, the shell is not that strong, and it can be attributed to what? To low calcium intake. Then Eniola asked the question about how do you know the eggs that are meant for to be incubated into a chick or the one to be consumed. So he already answered that also. But we also use a candling table. I think I've told 8x8 this before. A candling table is a table of light whereby you can use to see the embryo inside an egg. And those eggs are being moved into what? Into an incubator. We also call them a setter. Do you get it? How many days does it take an egg to hatch? How many days does it take an egg to hatch from the day of lay? 21 days. Very good. So it takes 21 days. And if you are using an incubator, it spends 18 days in the incubator before you move it into the setter. And on the 18th day, you can use the candling table. And how will you know if an egg is forming into a chick? When the light does not pass through, it means a chick is forming in that egg. But when you have the light pass through, it means that egg is not what's forming into a chick. Then you separate it from the forming egg. Then it takes 3 days. When you take it out from the setter into the hatcher, it takes 3 days for the eggs to hatch to become a chick. Is that clear? Alright. So any other question? Alright. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. And thank you very much, everybody. So we really appreciate, on behalf of Codus Child Minders and schools and the Codus of, we really want to say thank you for accepting our request to visit your farm, to learn from you. We really appreciate it. Goodbye.
Thank you so much for coming.
All right. Thank you so much for coming.